Good morning, and welcome to another Fresh Off the Stalls. Aha! Good morning, he says. Yes, I've done it. I've left it to the morning after, rather than doing it as soon as I got home last night. Why? Because I thought if I slept on things, I might be able to say something a little nicer about what I saw last night. So pray tell, James, what is it that was so terrible that you feel you had to have a night's sleep to say something remotely nice? Or not remote, that's awful. Anyway, on to it. Closer to Heaven, the musical by Jonathan Harvey and the Pet Shop Boys. I was really looking forward to this. To me, it's quite a dream partnership. I really love Jonathan Harvey's work. Beautiful Thing is one of my most favourite plays / film ever. Also things like Boom Bang a Bang, and then even Gimme 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 on the telly was a lot of fun, very witty, very silly, and just really well written. Pet Shop Boys as well, love their music. Particularly, I really loved The Most Incredible Thing, the ballet they did at Saddle as well, which shows them to be branching out into different things and doing it rather well. So I was thinking, like, great, yeah, this is going to be brilliant, this is going to be sharp, this is going to be sort of energetic. And it was just... So why? Why did I think this is so bad? Let's start with the book. Terribly disappointing work from Jonathan Harvey. The narrative is shallow. It's fired through at a pace. It's just... Well, the whole point of it is like drugs are bad. Well, not the whole point, but part of it is just like, oh no, everyone's on drugs and everything's all falling apart. I did a similar thing for my A-level theatre studies, and it felt pretty much as terrible as that. That's a really horrible thing to say, but it's kind of true. None of the characters had personality, but no depth. They just feel really painted and really unconvincing. You couldn't invest in them as much as you really wanted to, because there's nothing really behind them. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm a girl, I fancy this guy. Oh, I'm a guy, I fancy this girl, but I also kind of fancy this boy. What to do? Ah, drugs. And also the narrative rattles through. At one moment it's like, oh, it's now. Next scene, oh, it's 5 weeks later. Next scene, I've been dating you for 2 months. And it's just like, well, where did the time go? And nothing is explained, nothing is developed. It's just kind of bang, 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 the end. And I just couldn't get behind it, and I just got so bored. Furthermore, like, what you are able to invest into the characters, especially the more minor characters, you end up learning about their motives, a bit about them, and sort of they have a sort of B stories going on everywhere. At the end, it's like, no, we're really going to tie up the main story. Everyone else can just go away. We're not going to touch on what happens with them. And it's just like, Harvey has written so much better stuff, which is why I'm quite a bit angry about this. Music-wise, same with the Pet Shop Boys. They've written so much better tunes. This one is just kind of like, it certainly felt like Pet Shop Boys. They had very much much of a signature sound and style to it, but none of the songs were really memorable, apart from the one where someone sings that I'm a vampire, you're a vampire too, which just seemed like the most ridiculous line, and I was just sat there thinking, what, everyone's vampires now? It's just, what is going on? Some of the songs as well go on for far too long and really drag the pace, which was already slacking quite badly to begin with. I thought this was going to be a dream partnership. Two, in my opinion, two well-respected and loved, from a very personal point of view, artists coming together to create something. But I suppose, Spice Girls and Jennifer Saunders, have we not learnt anything? Sometimes the most dream partnerships can produce some of the most terrible things. This is not as terrible as Viva Forever. Let me just get that straight. But yeah, it was just hollow and unsubstantial, and I was just bored. And also, humour-wise, a lot of it's crass. It doesn't really sparkle with much wit. It's just kind of like, oh, bitchy joke, penis, and it's just... What can I say? This was really disappointing. Now, I'd like to say that despite the terrible writing, that the production and the cast were really good. I can't even say that. Okay, production, I suppose. Okay, let's pick out some of the good things. Let's be positive. Let's be positive for a bit. Choreography, if I can just... Philip Joel's choreography, very energetic, very larger than life, which I kind of think it needs for something that's essentially set in a nightclub. Some of the choreography really looked great. The costumes as well. Barbara Williams is the costume supervisor, but I suppose the credit possibly needs to go to David Shields, the designer, or maybe both of them. They looked really good. They were really great costumes. I get the sense, though, that the play was set more in the 2000s, or the noughties, I suppose is what the young kids are calling it these days. And everything kind of looked very 90s. But I can forgive it that, because it looked great. The set did as well. It really looked like some sort of flouncy, campy club. Nice little things hidden away in places, and a really good use of what is actually a very small space and a very awkward space at the Union, like most fringe theatres in London. So yeah, those are the good things. Oh, and the guys on the Patrick Stockbridge musical director, who was kind of up above the thing on the decks, on the keyboards and stuff, kept the music ticking along quite nicely. So, direction, Jean David Kirk, who is very well known and very much respected for a lot of the stuff they do. I suppose, in one sense, direction's good. Makes very good use of the platform, of the podiums to add visual variety and keep the pace moving on that sense. However, I think Jean David Kirk doesn't do. I can assume that what this play needs is kind of very quick fire, one thing from the other, very sort of, drugs, nightclub, yeah. It just don't get that. The scene changes saunter, the scenes saunter. There is a complete... I just don't feel that Jean David Kirk has gotten the actual pace that's needed to really push us. I probably would have enjoyed it more if it felt a bit more pacey. It really didn't. It felt very much like a very sort of... I'm going to say mediocre musical, and I suppose it's actually what I mean. It just felt everything was very comfortable. Everything kind of just kind of went. Just nothing was pushed. So yeah, I mean, technical direction fine, but I just don't think Jean David Kirk found an energy that this show really would appreciate. Would be yeah, you know what I mean. Cast. I really want to say something fairly nice. I think my favourite cast member is going to be Connor Brabin as Myland Lee. Very sort of brooding, quiet, got across this sort of hard man exterior really well in his cockiness. So he was my favourite. As far as Kate... No, not Kate Melrose, but Amy Matthews as Shell. I wasn't really convinced by her performance, and I think that's mostly down to the writing and her characterization rather than her ability as an actor. I will say she's got a really lovely voice, which is a shame we didn't get to hear more of it. What I liked about it is that you get the sense that she can really belt things out if she wanted to, but she performs with quite a bit of tenderness and kind of holds it back and actually adds character rather than oomph, and in a good way. But like everyone else, I didn't feel they were, as actors, were behind the characters, and as I said, I think the characterizations just really didn't help. And I'm just going to leave it there. Really, I just really didn't. This is one of the things where I actually think, gosh, I wish I'd paid to see this because it meant I could leave in the interval. Unfortunately, being there as a reviewer, I have to stay for everything. And I thought like maybe Act 2 gets better. You know, you never know, sometimes it does. And it really didn't. So, I mean, it's a noble effort reviving this show. And it should have been really great, but it just wasn't. I know it doesn't sound like I'm offering anything too constructive. I probably will be able, with a bit more thought when I actually get down to writing my full review, I'll try and vocalize and be a little bit more constructive, but it was just such a disappointment. I think that's the main thing. It was such a disappointment. It could have been so much better. Could have been so much better written. The production could have possibly upped the ante a little, but that's not to say the production was as terrible as the actual material. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go. I'm going to get myself ready for work now and be boring, because I have to. So yeah, I suppose thank you for the evening. It was certainly marginally better than gouging my eyes out with a rusty spoon. Goodbye.